So Tiger Roll won the 2019 Randox Health Grand National, and look, it happens, isn't it? I was confident he wasn't going to win, and he won. Fair enough. Look, it happens in racing. You try and predict things to happen, and they don't always come off. And I was fairly confident he wasn't going to win. I feel like he had a lot of things going against him this year. 11 stone 5 was always going to be a hindrance in my opinion, but he turned out to be anything but it helped him in a way in my opinion. You can see the way he jumped around. I thought the quicker ground was a factor in helping him as well. I thought had it been softer, it might have been a little bit more difficult, but he absolutely loved it, didn't he, Tiger Roll? He jumped out really well. Davy Russell had a smooth trip round and was the best horse on the day. You can't complain. I was happy with the way Rathvinden run, especially looking at the way he was going for a long way in the race. He jumped really well, travelled nicely. Couple of sloppy jumps at the water jump, second Valentine's, and there was one, I think, at an open ditch, I think, down the back afterwards as well. He made a couple of poor errors, but I think Ruby gave him a fantastic ride, and I think that was really him and David Russell. If you want to watch two jockeys really ride the national course well, then I'd suggest anyone watch them two. They gave Rathwind and the Tiger absolute peaches of rides, got them into good rhythms early on, and just really just got into some great jumps and really just cruised around the course. And I was surprised to see Vintage Clouds fought the first really. It was a big gamble on horse for Sue Smith. I was surprised to see him go down at the first, but it was one of them typical first fence national jump falls really. They go down to it, they get too close into it, they sprawl on landing and they come down. He seemed to jump well, but then kind of sprawled on landing. Danny Cook had no chance to stand on board and the horse went down. It was a shame because I thought I had a good chance of running well, but he came down quite early on. A lot of people were probably disappointed in that. Lakeview Lad ran disappointing. I don't think he really enjoyed the fences. He got pulled up somewhere down the back. I think after falling Avon, I think he got pulled up. He didn't enjoy the fences either. I think Step Back ran out of puff in the end. He seemed to jump out to his right for large parts of the race. He enjoyed the first circuit, but then second time around he got a bit tired and then he made a couple of poor jumps. Second beaches he jumped right the way out to his right, and the canal turn second time was already putting into his race, and he got pulled up quite quickly by Nico de Bourneville, who actually got further in the first fence the first time in his national rides. I think he's had two national rides prior to it, and he on both occasions came down at the first fence, so he got further than that, but he didn't quite complete this year. But he got a good spin for a large part of the race. Looking around the field, other horses that I got to mention, I thought the second horse, you've got to give credit to that, Magical Light. What an absolute screamer that mare has run. Trying to be the first mare since Nichols Coin to win the national. The jockey there, Jack Kennedy's younger brother, I think it was, he got an absolute peach of a ride off that horse, an absolute thrill of a lifetime probably. It was an absolute sensational bit of horsemanship to get that horse round. It could have easily come down on two occasions at the last and also at the chair. Made an absolute terrible mistake at the chair. Stood off a mile off from it and just about got to the other side. Jockey was perched right up on the horse's neck twice at the last and the chair, and to complete was brilliant. I mean, the massive price of your back in that horse. You'd have probably been thinking you got a great chance of winning this come around the home turn. But he just got a little bit too tight to the last, and it probably didn't help his chances. I don't think he did either one anyway, but I felt that if he had jumped the last little bit better, he might have got a little bit closer to the winner, but not too much closer, I don't think. I think Tiger Roll would have won easily, regardless of how well Magical Light jumped the last fence, but I'll have a good run from her, a massive run from her. Probably going to come back next year, I'd expect, to try and go one step further maybe. And you can only be hopeful that mare. A very good, talented mare. First run in the race, I think. First ride in the race, sorry, for Jack Kennedy's younger brother. First runner in the race for Jessica Harrington as well. What a good dual-purpose trainer she's proved to be as well in recent years. Super Sunday, Alpha Centuri, two good flat and jump horses as well. She's more than capable of training both codes. You're looking at other horses in the race as well. Trying to think what else. Another good gambled on price really. There's a couple of other good horses that ran quite well in the end. One for Arthur finished I think 6th in the end or 7th. He ran an absolute brilliant race. Stayed on right towards the end. Got a little bit tired probably after the last, but ran an absolute huge race. Met a bit of trouble along the way. Had a bit of a troubled trip, but ran an absolute massive race for its first completed race of the season. It deserves a great amount of credit to Lucinda Russell, and also to Peter Scudamore for the training performance there. I mean, credit where credit's due there. To bring that horse back after a year off injured last year and to get that running again was brilliant. I think that deserves absolute credit. Single Farm Payment ran well at a big price. I think he completed as well. Annabelle Fly again hit the come 5th this year after finishing 4th last year. Ran another absolute great race for JP McManus and for I think Tony Martin's his trainer. Ran an absolute smashing race. The Gold Cup prep stepped him up beautifully for that, and Mark Walsh crept around all the way and stayed on for 5th. Another good run from him. He might go back next year to try and even get a little bit closer maybe, but you can't be disgruntled with that run. Another solid run there. Can Tiger Roll win the 3rd national next year? I don't know. I was reading on the Racing Post this morning that Michael O'Leary doesn't intend on running him next year, but you can never take his opinion straight away, straight after the race. You can never take that too seriously. If he comes back next year and absolutely hacks up on the cross country, then it should be all systems go. Although he might be carrying top weight next year, and if he carries 11 stone 12 or something like that, it'd be extremely difficult to try and win a third national and emulate the great Red Rum in winning 3. But if he were to win 3 in a row, that'd be absolutely amazing for the sport. Regardless of what I've said in that in the past, the horse is good for the sport, and especially with lots of people campaigning against the Grand National still to this day, you need horses like Tiger Roll, to really capture the public's hearts and put the sport in a good light. Because we did lose Up for Review yesterday in the race, and a lot of activists would have been salivating at the thought of that, which is sad really, because you don't see any horse get hurt, and unfortunately it happened yesterday. It's part of the game, which is a sad thing, but my thoughts go out to all the owners involved with the horse. It's not nice to see that happen, but it's unfortunately one of those things. And the Grand National's done fantastically well in recent years to make it as safe as it can now for horses, replacing the wooden stakes with plastic stakes in the fences, making it easy to pull up with the pull-up things on the outside of the fences, so it's well catered for the horses' welfare now. The wash-down areas after the races, the cool-down areas with the fans as well, so the horses are well looked after now, and it's all animal welfare at the Grand National's been second to none in recent years. I think it was the first step since 2012, which just shows you how far it's come on now, especially in recent years, when only about 30 years ago and that the National was gonna be cancelled. It could have been a race that was never going to be in existence. If it wasn't for Red Rum, who saved the race in the end, then the race would have been in oblivion. So it's good to see Tiger Roll putting the sport back in again, and you can only be pleased for him and his owners. I thought he was going to lose today, but I got proved wrong. And look, it's one of those things, isn't it? I took it well. It's good to see a horse do that, win 2 nationals in a row. It's not happened for 30 odd years, and that you can only commend what happened in the end. And hopefully he'll come back for the third. It'd be great to see him come back for the therd next year. If he doesn't, then there's no need to in the end. If he doesn't, then you can't really blame them. He doesn't owe anybody nothing now. He's won so many great races, and if he retires next year, then so be it. But if you enjoy some National Review, guys, hit the thumbs up, comment away, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.